Hello everybody, welcome back to Rogue Reefing and welcome back to Paleo Springs. Welcome back to episode 21. It's hard to believe that this park has been going on coming up close to a year now, but update 15 just dropped onto the main branch, dropped for everybody. And there are a lot of new changes. I'm going to pause here really quick and we're going to take a look at some of these changes. First and foremost, we have Paleobotany. If you didn't watch that video, I'll put a link down to it below. We go over each of the species and I made a lot of mistakes, and Matt reached out to me and I want to thank him again personally for reaching out to me and clarifying some of those mistakes. I know he's working on a comment to drop below that video with the corrections there for that. Again, I apologize for some of that, but yeah. That video is out there. If you haven't seen that, we go over each and every species of plant that was released in update 15 for Paleobotany. And we also have, I believe here we have new enrichment items and new feeders. So I've gone ahead and I've researched everything. Again, this park is a challenge park here, so that means that we are held to money and finances and all of those wonderful things that are attached with that. But this also means now that since I've researched this, instead of placing down one of these large feeders I guess this large feeder was pretty much like the standard feeder. Now, instead of placing that down, we can place down something so much smaller. And it comes in different sizes too. We can have a long one. We can have a super gigantic one if we wanted to. These are all options that we have here, and I'm super excited for those. So in today's episode here in Paleo Springs, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to go exhibit by exhibit and adjust things in there. So the Cenozoic animals over here, the Megatheria or Megaloceros, what are they called over here? I'm completely blanking on all the names. The Coelodonta, the Mammoth, and so on and so forth. We're going to go through and we're going to replace these feeders in here, these old feeders, with some of the new ones. And we're also going to add some of the enrichment items like a hay bale here for Coelodonta. We're going to go and add some of that stuff for those Cenozoic animals. But for our Mesozoic animals like the Plateosaurus over here, all the way up to our sauropods, we are going to overhaul these exhibits here today, and we're going to go through and adjust them with the new Paleobotany features, adding some of those plants, adding some enrichment items where we can, and really making them sort of look and feel like it's a proper blend of today and the past. I don't want to go through here, and add only the Jurassic plants to the Apatosaurus and Brachiosaurus habitat here, because this is still supposed to be a national park, a state park here. So we can't alter the terrain too much. We can't alter the forest too much, but I do want to add some sprinkles of some of the ancient Morrison Formation foliage over here to try to spruce some of it up and make it look and feel, kind of like how it would, but not exactly one-to-one, because again, this is a state park and these forests are under our jurisdiction to protect. Technically, we don't have to. We are a development that has moved in here to this state park, and we could clear cut everything. We could bring in all of the different invasive species that we wanted to and really, sort of go ham on all of that. But I don't want to. I want to respect the terrain. I want to respect the forests. I want to respect the local ecosystems as much as we can while giving these animals a place to live that is a little bit better for them and feels a little bit more like home. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in here and do exactly that. All right, so I've let this run for a little while now, and I gotta say, I'm really, really pleased with the results. I'm, especially pleased with the sauropods with the Morrison Formation stuff that we did in the Morrison Formation mini series. This is still just like my favorite area. I did go through and address, and you'll probably hear me say this in the voiceover part. I record that part after, so if I repeat myself, I apologize. But you'll probably hear me say that I added this moat because a lot of you told me that this habitat here was not really suitable because, one, there was too much foliage in here, and I agree, and there still is a lot of foliage in here, but I wanted it to look more naturalistic, so bear with me on that. But one thing that was pointed out to me was the distance to guests, and I think that this is a much better way of tackling this, of having the boardwalk here for the guests, which I still think is one of the better things that I've built, and then having this moat here, this dry moat where the animals can't cross. Now technically, if I move one of these guys over, I think their neck is technically long enough. Yeah, it is technically long enough to reach over and grab something that a guest has, but honestly I'm not too worried about it. If one of the dinosaurs does come too close, my head canon is that there's keepers stationed here, educators stationed here, and warning guests to, like, hey, don't get too close, if the dinosaurs come within range, or I don't know, something like that. I really, really like the Torvosaurus habitat. This looks so much better than the original version. I can't even describe to you guys how much better it looks, in my personal opinion. Now this is where you'll try to see, like, along the edges, where I blended the Mesozoic foliage here, like this big tree, I forget all the names, but if you see the big tree here and then the pines here sort of interspersed and then rolling into that scrubland area there, I think this is a much better habitat. And yeah, this particularly I'm blown away with. Like, really, I don't think I could have done better with that. The Plateosaurus one, I think this is much more accurate to what it would be. The only thing is I didn't add the horsetails along the side of the riverbank here, which I know that I mentioned in the episode where we built this habitat, but I didn't add it because these guys don't have wetland in their biomes. So if I add it, it'll make them unhappy, and I would rather have them happy and get the bonuses for that, and have the habitat be mostly accurate to the time period, instead of adding it and being 100% accurate and then upsetting the dinosaurs and therefore upsetting the guests. So yeah, the Coelophysis habitat, I'm a little torn. Before we had the pine trees poking out of the top, and I was always torn on that when I built this habitat initially. I first didn't like the pine trees poking through the screen top here, and then I started to like it, and I would go back and forth, but now that they're not here, I am also going back and forth, and I don't know if I like it as well. But we can see the Coelophysis in here, and I think this generally as well is a much more accurate look. We have the dry riverbed here that I sunk into the ground more, put a fish there, maybe they're scavenging for the fish carcass there. We have these faux carcasses that I put into almost all of the habitats, and this is cool. You can see them playing there. That's really neat. But I don't want to speak too soon, but I haven't... Oh, God. Yep. I was gonna say I thought I solved my problem putting the feeders in there, and I did for a while. I did solve the problem for a while, but that is okay. I hope they fix that soon, of them busting through the barrier. Let me see, will this guy do it? Yep, maybe. Is he gonna bust through? No, he's not. All right, whatever. Anyway, that's you know, that's that. The Panthera habitat here, we're going to be redoing in a future episode. So the Panthera, the Smilodon, and the cave bear over here, as well as the mammoths over here as well. These are all slated to be part of our Cenozoic restoration project of Paleo Springs. So, you know, we gave Megaloceros over here a much more natural and, you know, gigantic rolling field for them to forage in, giving them much more space there for that herd that will grow, because now we have breeding in the game. And the breeding in here, I believe, can I see, where is genetics in here? Health, maturity. So the growth speed. So these animals, all of these animals here, oh, that's cool. That's awesome. This is our little baby boy, and we can just see his horns starting to poke out there. Yeah, so the little babies are already starting to grow up here. But we, you know, all of these animals, for the most part, were created before the baby animals were added to the game, and definitely before the breeding was added to the game. And so as a result, all of these adults have a growth speed of normal, but the babies have a growth speed of realistic. So what I've noticed in testing is that if I place down one of the breeding stalls, breeding pens, like a birthing bed, or, you know, one of the nests in here, that whatever the adults that are breeding, whatever their growth speed is, gets passed on to the babies. I don't know if that's something that they're going to fix in the future or change. It makes sense to me that, you know, if you're speeding up the growth of the animals in the incubator, or, you know, in the hatchery before you release them into the park, that they're going to have certain growth hormones. Maybe it's genetic, maybe it's something like that, and, you know, that makes sense to me that it would be passed down to the babies. However, part of me wishes that if they're born in the park, it defaults to the realistic time. And I know that not everybody is going to want that, but I love the fact that, you know, we literally just discovered right now the little baby here of Rafferty, our little baby male Megaloceros, is growing horns. He's 1.8 years old. Look at how cute he is. I love these guys. They're incredible. And I know the videos on Megaloceros never really do that well, but I love them. I also gotta take a minute here to mention about the grass. I'm gonna put on an image here of the before and after of the grass, before update 15 and after update 15, and I want you guys to just look at how incredible this grass looks now. Like, I mean, I thought it looked good before, but looking at it afterwards, and like my pictures from you know, episodes past, seeing the grass in there is just mind-blowing to see how much better these habitats look. The mammoths over here, you know, I know we added stuff to them, but they're going to be moving over into this area over here, getting a much larger area for them. And again, same for the Smilodon, Panthera, and cave bear as well. We do have a new addition to the park. We have Tanya over here, little baby Tanya. she is growth speed realistic. She's also melanistic here, our melanistic mammoth. She is not related to anybody. So Ira adopted her. She's not her blood mom. She doesn't have parents here in the park. This is because I created Tanya before I knew that they were going to be adding the breeding into this update, and I wanted a baby mammoth, so I made a baby mammoth, and little did I know they were going to add breeding into the game right after that. So now we have a little baby mammoth here, but I will be adding you know, a birthing bed to the mammoths here, and as well as some of the other ones. Let me know in the comments down below, what animals do you want to see breed in this park? What animals do you want to see you know, pass on their genes? Do you want me to get rid of the adults and change them out for ones that have the realistic time frame, or do you want me to create babies with the realistic aging, and then once they become adults, have them breed to pass on the realistic, you know, from that point on? I don't know. I mean, update 16, all these babies are pretty much going to die anyway. Or not the babies, the adults are going to die anyway. So, you know, maybe we just wait for that and see what happens. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. You know, I love talking to you guys, having a conversation about this stuff. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, feel free to give it a like. It really helps out the video there. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, definitely subscribe below as well too, so that you're up to date for the future episodes that come out for this series. We are gearing up finally, hopefully, for the Hell Creek Formation mini-series. So we had the Morrison Formation mini-series over here, and then we're going to be having the Hell Creek finally moving Paleo Springs into the Cretaceous era. So stay tuned for that. Again, subscribe if you're not a part of that. And if you want all these videos as soon as I upload them, consider becoming a member of the channel. You get these videos again as soon as I upload them, and then, you know, like a week, maybe a few days later, depends on the time frame, I release it to the public so that everybody can have it. If you can bear the wait, then, you know, that's up to you. But if you would like to see all of these videos early, then definitely consider becoming a member down below. I really appreciate it. That support goes a long way for me to continue making these videos and to continue to try to make them better. But yeah, anyway, as usual, I'm rambling now. So I will leave it off here, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching. There's a million things you could have been doing today, and you chose to spend a little bit of that time here with me and watch me go through and redo all of the exhibits that we have so far here in Paleo Springs. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Take care for now.